Chapter 13 is our first experience with real object oriented programming. You've been hearing object oriented programming probably ever since you started writing any code, but this is in this book, the way it's organized, this is our first dive into real object oriented programming. It deals with classes. Classes on the surface in the beginning are going to seem a lot like structs, but I think you'll see pretty quickly how they differ, and the reusability of the code is much greater developed than the use of structs. Much easier to use once it's set up correctly. All right, we're going to just jump on in. Um, I'm going to make a class, and I'm going to call it rectangle. All right, and it's just like looks a lot like a struct. Can't you see me just taking the word class out of what you're looking at and putting in the word struct? All right, but you will notice some subtle differences. The two variables are private, and I'll get into more of that in the next videos. The one thing you need to know about that is the only way to access these two variables is by using the functions below, the public functions. All right. I've got a double width and a double length. Those are the private variables. And I've got 5 functions in this class. All right. 2 of them are what we call setters. All right. Set width, set length. And 3 of them are getters. Get width, get length, get area. All right. The get functions, if you want to know the proper terminology and what you'll find it in more academic circles, the gets are the accessors and the sets are the mutators. All right. And if you think about that, to set something, you're going to be changing something inside of it. So it's going to be mutating. And when you get something, you have to access it. So that's the easiest way of remembering setters and getters. All right. How they tie into mutators and accessors. All right, the 2 functions you see that are setters, set width and set length. We're going to send this function a double. We're going to send it a number, and it's basically going to set the width. All right, we're going to send it a double, and it's going to set the width. Same way with set length. All right, we're just going to set the dimensions of this rectangle using these 2 setters. Both of those are void because you send it, it sets the value, and that's all it does. Right? The other 3 public functions, function members, are get width, get length, and get area. Those we don't send any parameters to. All right? They are just going to return something. All 3 are going to return doubles. Like you could think, get width is going to return the width, get length, and get area is just going to return width times length. These are constants. And if you're taking notes, which I hope you are, or making mental notes or anything, the getters are almost always constants. You put the const, okay, because you're not going to change anything. You're just getting something. That's why they're called accessors. They're but they're not mutating. You don't put const with the setters because you are changing something. So if you just step back and look at this, they're kind of intuitive. There's no real rocket science to these 5 functions. As we get deeper into classes, the classes and the functions grow, but you'll understand why as we get into it. This is bare bones. Everything in this program is in one file. It's in my source.cpp file. I'm putting the class definition, the member functions, which I'm going to go down to next, and the main are all in one file, and I'm going to run it off of this. As we get deeper into classes, this will become 3 files, and you'll need all 3 files put in over here on the far right in the right places to run these programs. Now, I hope you keep an open mind to this. That sounds like it's just making things more complicated, but in the end, it really is going to lend to the reusability of this code. All right, here's the functions, and it's just what I said. You're like the two setters, you're going to send it a double, and it's going to set the width and length. The one thing you will notice is it looks a little bit different. You've got this rectangle, colon, set width. Don't get too hung up on that because you won't always use it because we're going to be dealing with different files. But here inside this file, this is what we'll be using is rectangle, colon, set width, rectangle, colon, set length. And same thing with the getters too. All right. The getters, just what I described when I was going over the functions. You don't send them anything. There's your constant on all three of these. All they're going to do is go in and it's going to get the width for you, get the length for you, or get the area. Okay. You're going to call on these to access these two variables or some kind of computation from them. So there's your 5 member functions, your five class functions. Now let's get down to the main. All right, this should show you right off the bat how this is similar to structs. And I've got a rectangle, and I'm gonna call it box 1. That's an object. Rectangle box two, that's an object. They are totally separate. All right, they're like copies of each other. Right now, they're copies of each other that are totally blank. There is nothing in it. You have memory carved aside in each one of them for your width and your length, and that's it. All right. I'm making 2 local variables, rect width and rect length, which I'm going to use a couple times to actually help fill in these 2 objects, box 1 and box 2. All right. I'm going to see out this program will calculate the area of 2 rectangles. All right. What is the width of the first box? I'm going to see in rect width, my local variable, and I'm going to see what is the length of the first box, and I'm going to see in rect length. I'm going to use these 2 variables to go ahead and set up my dimensions in box 1. Set width. Remember, I set the parameter for that is a double. I'm sending it rect width. I'm sending the second function, set length. I'm sending it rectangle length. So I'm just sending it the local variables that I took in these 2 statements. You'll notice that the way that these are called is identical to that of structs. Box 1.set width, box 1.set length. Now I'm going to go down and fill out my second box. What's the width of the second box? I'm going to use the same variables. I'm just going to override them. After I override them, I'm going to send them to box 2.set width, box 2.set length. All right. These 2 are totally independent of each other now. What you do with one is totally independent of what you do with the other. Now I'm going to output the data. The first box is, I'm going to use my getWidth function. All right. It's going to return a double. So this box is this width by this length for an area of square units. So I'm going to use all 3 of my getters, get width, get length, and get area. Then I'm going to do the same thing again. I'm going to use my get width on the second box though. This first block here, I'm just dealing with my first object, box 1. And now here I'm dealing with my second object, box 2. So I'm using get width, right, by get length for an area of get area. So I'm using all 3 of my getters in this. Up here, I use my setters, my 2 setters. Down here, I use all 3 of my getters. I'm going to run this. What's the width of the first box? We'll make the first box 5 enter, and then we're going to make the second box 6 enter by 4 enter. And there you go. All right. Oh, I didn't change this. This should say the second box. I didn't change my code there. So the second box. Run it. 5 enter, 5 enter, 6 enter, 4 enter. There you go. The first box is 5 by 5 for an area of 25 square units. The second box is 6 by 4 for an area of 24 square units. Two different objects. I use the same getters and the same setters. All right. This is a good time to say it would really be in your best interest to read at least the first 10, 12 pages of chapter 13. That's pretty much what we're going to be going over on Monday night. The plan is for an exercise, questions and answers to start the class on. Me talk a little bit about classes for a few minutes, give you all an exercise to work on Monday night. There will be more videos on chapter 13 classes next weekend. Not that this is the last one. Please check for more videos after this one. But there'll be more videos on classes next week. And then we'll have a bigger program next Monday night, one that you might not be able to finish in class. I try to give you all lots of time in class because I'm there to help if you have a snag, but this one might run a little outside of it. I am available to help with these things outside of class if you all need it. It'll probably be way of telephone, email, and videos that I'll be able to help you. I've made videos for a couple of students now at Thomas More, just made videos to explain stuff to them. So it's not that big a deal. But please contact me if any of these things don't make sense. Like I said, we're not going to get in a rush. We're supposed to spend a week and a half in classes, in studying classes. But I think I'm going to stretch this out to full 2 weeks for classes. Then after that, we will have the midterm. So classes will be on the midterm exam. All right. Hope you're all having a great weekend or a great Monday whenever you're all watching these. Please look for more videos after this one.